Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing all right today. I was at the break and I asked the band if they could bring me in with some Metallica or something like that to try to get the group fired up here before the end of the day, but you know, we'll go with the country music for now. So I'm really thrilled to be here and I appreciate the opportunity to share our story at On Process Technology. And really the story is one about going all in on automation. And I'll give you a little bit of backdrop of why we're here and why I'm here right now with just a touch of the company backdrop. So, you know, right now the company is 20 plus years old. We were started in 1998. We're a services supply chain company. We support customers in over 100 languages. We've got about 1,500 employees or so. And really, the whole idea of the company is really to be the number one provider in the services supply chain. And when you think about supply chain, over the last 3 years, everybody and their brother's been talking about the supply chain, right? You think about where are the ships and where are the cargo and where's all that. And it's been hotter probably than it's ever been before when you think about supply chain. But the services supply chain is a little different than that, and I'll go into it in a minute. But just as a little bit of a frame of reference, you can see we are supporting some of the globe's largest customers, right? You recognize a lot of those logos up there. They're our customers, and our mission is really to power the world's circular services supply chain. And so what is that? When you think about supply chain, you think about the stuff on the far right-hand side of this slide typically. It's getting the materials, building the product, putting it together, and getting it out to the customers. But what we're really focusing on is that piece of the supply chain that happens for customers after they've got the hardware or equipment in their hands, right? If there's a service issue or a service event, parts need to be sent out for technicians to repair servers and storage and hardware and those types of things. And then after those parts have been used, either they be returned or they need to come back to a depot for manufacturing, refurbishing, and things like that. There is a tremendous amount of money tied up in that hardware. And spare parts is also a big piece of profitability for many companies. So I see some heads nodding. So getting those parts and that hardware back from out in the field to whether it's the depot or the return to depot or the warehouse is a big piece of the business. And what we do is we really work on the three parts of the process that you see down the bottom, making sure that we can help our customers have the right inventory planned, that it gets out to the right place at the right time, that it matches up with the service technician when they're trying to get there, if there's a technician going out on site, and then importantly, getting hardware back. And so that recovery process is actually the biggest part of our overall business that we do today. And it was about 3 years ago, really right at the start of the pandemic, that the company decided to build a new strategy of go digital. And it was really go digital across the whole business. First and foremost, what the company was focusing on was building out a new digital platform for our customers. And so we could really pull together all this service information into one data set, use that data set to help power the decisions needed to optimize this services supply chain. And that's really where the company spent most of 2020 and a lot of 2021. And I actually joined the company in October of 2021. So actually it was a year ago yesterday was my 1 year anniversary. But the reason that I joined was because the company had this vision to go digital, but really they were nowhere near digital in the contact center. And so some of you may relate to this. You don't need to see it, but you know it, right? A lot of heads nodding, a lot of swivel chair, a lot of agents that are going crazy with how many screens they've got open, right? So there's your agent, right? They're having that problem right this second, and oh, there they go, right? attrition. We talked earlier today about the difficulties of hiring and staffing and making sure that you've got the right people in the right place at the right time. And some of the manual nature of these processes were making it very difficult for us to do our jobs during the pandemic. So as part of that, I was challenged to come in and say, how do we go digital with operations? And this is essentially the first 60 days or so that I was with the company. I started to work with my team, understand some of our needs, figure out what we needed to really put together from a go digital standpoint. And we built a strategy to say, look, how are we gonna digitally enable this team and make sure that we're customer focused and we're delivering our great success through our company platform, right? That's the idea. And you can see around, it's gonna touch people and culture and technology all around, including customers, but it starts with people. And one of the things that we talked about earlier today, and I think Lee's, anybody remember Lee's third point from this morning? Communicate, communicate, communicate. So I went on a roadshow of sorts, roadshow in quotes, because this was last fall, so my roadshow was Teams meetings. So I must have done 20 different group Teams meetings inside of the company, starting with my team, my peers, my teams, and going on down the line and communicating this story. And that is really a key piece of how you have to start building the culture around Go Digital and also help people not be afraid, back to your point, Mike, not be afraid of what these new technologies are going to bring to the table. And that's why I always put people first on this circle, because we talk to people and we say, hey, this is really exciting stuff. This is going to take away all that, the challenges that you've got with the swivel chair, the multi-screen, the really redundant and repetitive tasks that you have. Because if you go back to that first screen of all those swivel chair items, when you look at the agents that we had on some of our most routine programs, those are the ones where we had the highest attrition rates, because they were doing a repetitive task 100+ times a day, making outbound calls. They've got too many systems that they need to be looking at. They're really challenged to do this, and it's a very simple process. And so, if we can get people out of those simple jobs and into some of the more complex jobs, we saw a huge difference in their satisfaction level and their retention level. So when I looked at it and broke it down by level and complexity of job on our team, we were seeing in the 9 to 11% attrition rate for that first level job, because it was not complex, it was super routine and redundant. But if you, on a monthly basis, that is, that attrition level, that's a monthly basis. So it doesn't take long to do the numbers to figure out you're replacing your staff more than once a year. That's not good at that entry level position. That's not good at any level. But if we could get people able to focus on some of those higher level capabilities and higher level positions, we were seeing attrition rates in the 1 to 3% per month level. So really, what my message to the team was, we are going to make sure that we are getting people ready for those higher level, more complex jobs, and technology is going to take away all of that routine and mundane work that you do every day. And I would repeat that over and over, and the reception that you get from team members who are in those positions is extremely positive, right? They're like, oh my gosh, that would be so great. It would be great if you could do that, right? And so the agents were excited. But you can't just have the agents be excited. You've got to have the supervisors and the ops managers, and you've got to have everybody at all levels excited about the opportunity. And so we talked about, and I talked about repeatedly, was this is also going to create new jobs. So this is going to create jobs that you may have heard about, or you thought somebody said something about it one time, but you really don't know what it is. And I used to use a visual because, on Teams, it's hard to get personal when, half the people have their cameras off, and, you got 25 people on a Teams, you can't make as many of those personal connections. And so I try to give them stories that they can resonate with and they can try to remember. And I remember saying this, and it seemed to get a reaction almost every time I said it. I said, think about this. You're at a cocktail party in your neighborhood, and your neighbor comes up to you and says, hey, what do you do? And you go to him and you say, well, I'm a conversation designer for an artificially intelligent virtual agent that helps serve our customers, right? They're going, right, mind blown. What in the hell is that, right? Because everybody's heard a little bit about artificial intelligence and conversation design, but nobody's doing it. I said, you're going to have the opportunity to raise your hand. If you're interested, raise your hand. We're going to take people who are interested and get them engaged. And that's exactly what we did, and I'll tell you more about it, but it's getting people to see that there's something else that, man, they might be able to be on the leading edge of something and something cool that they can talk about outside of the office. Because today they might be, well, yeah, I make 100 phone calls a day and say the same script every time. That's not what you want to tell people on Friday night when you're having a cocktail. That's not that fun, right? That's not that fun. So find those ways to make it right for the people and use technology to do that. And that technology spans across all those circles in there, including really digitizing our training and development, right? Putting stuff online for people, setting up an online on-process academy, right? So people can have access to trainings. They can develop their own skills. They can do all these things. So we were really looking around all of these components all the way up through including increasing access for our customers, right? How do we make it easier for them to get the service, help them at any hour of the day, make sure that we have made it as good or better experience as possible with technology. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? Is put technology throughout and utilize the people that we have because they've got the expertise. They know how the process works, they know where the stumbling blocks are, and they know what needs to be done to help satisfy the customers. So this is just, if I did it once, I did it 20, 25 times. I've got a slide that goes behind each of those, kind of just with talking points about how it will impact the various teams. But the whole point is we were trying to look at the entire business, not just going all in on automation and digital with the customer stuff, but including the support things. So implementing a new workforce management tool, implementing a new QA system, taking things off of spreadsheets and putting them into tools that help people do their job better, faster, stronger. That's the key that I, when I look at it and say, how do we help the team members at the same time we help the customers, at the same time we help improve the bottom line. So this is kind of the strategy, and the approach is then go after every single area and start making changes. And this next slide, it's a little heavy. The visual on your far left is just a visual for our platform. That's our product platform stack, and it shows how at every angle and at every piece of that product platform, we want to try to add digital capabilities and make sure that we're capturing the data, capturing the knowledge, and helping to make sure that we can make more intelligent decisions, whether it's at the customer level or whether it's at the agent level. And really the idea is we want to expand the access for our customers. We want to make sure whether it's through a portal or we're through chat or messaging or IVR, email, outbound, we want to be available any way and every way. But as we do that, what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're adding the technology as the first layer, right? Add the intelligence. Can we solve it the first time without anybody? Can we use technology to solve it? If so, how? These are some of the tools, right? And then if we can't solve it, if it needs to go to an agent, we talked about containment and escalating the proper opportunities directly to an agent, they're going to then work on the more complex stuff. They're going to work on the customer situations that do require actual support from a live person. And that's where they come in. But we want them to engage with that customer with the data in hand, right? What knowledge are they getting from what's already happened with the customer? What knowledge do we have about that customer from the tools that we use and from the CRM system so that we can help predict why they might be calling, why we might be calling them, what the issue is, and how do we try to get it resolved? And then also, how are we optimizing our team, right? So as I said, a new workforce management tool. We're doing scheduling of more than 1,000 people on Excel. Probably some of you may do the same thing. That's not that great. It can be better. So we are a couple weeks away from implementing our new workforce management tool, implementing a new QA process. We heard, I think it was on the panel earlier, somebody talking about the QA process and using artificial intelligence, natural language processing to better execute on the QA process. We're halfway through our implementation of our new QA program. So taking it off of spreadsheets, right? When you can only QA an agent 2 times a month and they do 100 calls a day, who really cares, right? That's not much. You got to do better than that. And so we're using tools and technology to do better than that and help the QA agents take much more information and target specific agents with specific coaching. So this is really part of the process to help support all of our team members in a better way, right? Just so that they're getting more information when they do get engaged from the customer, and we're giving them better support from the operations support team. And then lastly, we've taken some of this savings that we've accrued from some of the technology that we've put into place, and we've started up a digital services and automation team. So I think, Mike, you might have mentioned that you started something very similar. So we did the same, right? Just investing in our people. And this is the way we filled this team is from people who raised their hand and said, I want to be a part of this. They helped us design the first flows with our first replicant implementation. They also are part of our team that was doing back office work in supporting some robotic process automation, process definition, and they've raised their hand to be involved in that. And we said, you like it? You know, because when I was taking volunteers, I said, you can just try it. You don't have to do it. You can go back to your old job. You know, we're totally flexible. We're looking for people who want to learn. And we've filled the team. It's not a big team, but we've filled the team with those people that have raised their hands to say, look, here are real live examples of how this is working and how we're putting it into place right now. And so that's what we're doing. But that's great, but it's not sufficient. So that's how we got the framework set up. And then we said, okay, I think I like circles, so I used a similar diagram here. I don't know, maybe it's just easy in PowerPoint to make these. But one of the things that we have to do is really make sure that we're building the culture and keeping this whole transformation alive. And to do that, what we've done, beyond me doing the roadshow, because it can't just be, it started there, but beyond that, what we did is we created digital transformation champions. And so what we did with that is we went and said, who are people in each of these organizations around the company that could be a champion? Because the way we're deploying this, and the reason I will say it is, we're talking a lot about our investment in technology and the deployment of some of this new capabilities, but when you have 1,000 employees and they're supporting, 50, 60 different programs, not everybody is going to get all of the benefit right away. So people may hear but not know, and then they lose energy and they lose steam. So what we're doing is we've created these digital transformation champions across all of these teams, and every 2 weeks on Monday mornings, we have a 45-minute training for the champions. And the training is on a topic around things that we're doing. And then those champions go out into their respective organizations and they go into every team meeting and they deliver the training in the team meeting. So even if you're on a program where you're not going to get touched by any of this new technology for 6 months or 9 months, you're still getting the 10-minute snippet, right? You're getting a little bit of the training. This is what's cool. This is what's coming. This is awesome. And we're building that momentum. And we're doing it at every level of the team. So this is going for agents, supervisors, ops managers, and operations, but we're doing it in the IT department. We're doing it in the deployment department. We're doing it across the board for all of these teams. And to solidify that, we also, on a monthly basis, we have an innovation meeting. And I'm spending a lot of time on this because it's important to I believe, to really build this into the culture. And this innovation meeting every month, we take usually 2 topics. It's a 45-minute meeting. And we take 2 topics that we're working on. Could be a new piece of the technology. Could be a future direction for our product. And we go through it in a little bit deeper dive. And the one we had 2 weeks ago, we focused on the digital services and automation team that I mentioned on the previous slide. And we highlighted 2 things. We highlighted, the first one is the intelligent virtual assistant, right? This is the Replicant example. So we walked through what we did, why we did it, how we did it, the business case behind it. And really, when you see what's going on with this is to me a home run. But building to full implementation was not easy. So this is, as I think I mentioned, I'm not sure, this is the second time I've used Replicant. Once was at a previous company I was at right before I joined, and we were a direct-to-consumer company. And so it was a little different there because the customers were direct relationship with us. This is us supporting our customers, either customers or field engineers or things like that. So we have to go program by program with how we're going to approach it. And that also means I've got sales and account managers who are saying, you better not screw up my relationship with this customer. This is a big customer, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And so we really had to step through this really slowly. We said, here's what it's going to be. Here's how it's going to be. This is how it's going to work. We did the deployment, and we just started inching in to the deployment, right? We went 5% of the volume, then we went 10% of the volume, and it's like, God, come on, let's go. We got to go. And finally, they wanted to wait because this is a program where we're covering assets, and it's a 90-day window before you can see, if you hit the target or you didn't hit the target. And they said, well, we're going to have to wait at least 90 days to see if we're at least making the same or better performance. And we got in, I think we were in probably 60 days. And I was like, every single leading indicator is positive. We are going now. And so we flipped the switch. And here's what the results are, right? You could see them. Unbelievable. Absolute home run, right? 11% improvement in return rates. That is the customer metric that matters. None of them else matter. I was having a conversation on a break with this specific customer. They don't ask how, they just ask how many, right? They don't want to know how, well, I mean, they do care, right? Of course, everybody cares. They can't go, doing crazy stuff to their customers. But their goal for us is a certain return rate. And if we hit it, they're happy. And if we don't hit it, they're not happy. Well, we were hitting it before we went live with Replicant. And this is why the account team was like, you better not screw this up because we're hitting the numbers now. And this is our biggest customer. A little risky, but here we go. Boom. 11% improvement on the metric that matters. That's the thing that really is the home run, right? So that's good. Oh, wait, CSAT. CSAT is up 40% because this is basically an outbound collection call. It's an outbound collection call. And this is, I guess, is a little bit of commercial for Replicant, but the Replicant CSAT is 3.9 out of 5 for an outbound collection call. I don't know about you, if anybody else is in collections, that's pretty good, right? Well, increase in outbound volume. There's no, the files come in at various sizes and at various times, and so sometimes we used to be working a ton of overtime, sometimes we'd have people sitting idle. You never knew what size file we'd get that we'd have to work. Now we work every file every day. There's no carryover, there's no nothing, so we're getting to the customers in a more timely fashion. We're handling them consistently every single time. And that's why we got the customer sat up, we got the return rate up, handle time, I think somebody mentioned earlier, their handle time is down, our handle time is way down, and oh wait, yeah, we're also saving some money. So, boom, home run, right? So everybody's like, wow, that's great. Well, on the same innovation call, we pulled up the dashboard and we played a live call, or we played a call that was a real call. Great conversation. You know, it's one of these deals where during the call, if you use Teams, I'm sure they have it on other ones, you can see, you know, people clapping or hearts going up. They're like, wow, this is great. In the chat, people are like, is that a real call? Is that a fake? You know, you guys, this is not real. Like, that's a real call. That's what's happening. This is how great it is. And so that just got about, I'd say there were probably 100 people on that call, all at the senior leaders and some of the leadership team who had heard what we were doing. They've heard me talk about it for a long time, probably 10 of the 12 months I've been at the company. And finally they heard it. And they're like, oh, mind starts turning. How do we use this with my customers? How do we do more of this? And so my point in sharing it is, it's a constant effort to keep building energy around a digital transformation, and going all in on automation is not a one-time thing, it's a constant thing. You've got to do it. You've got to do it every single day. You've got to live it, you got to breathe it, you got to love it. Like, I love this stuff. This is pretty cool. So that was one of them in terms of going all in on automation. And that's an example. And coming off of that, now, instead of inching forward with the next use case, we are running forward with the next use case, and we're building it right now for the next customer so that we can go do something exceptionally similar. And so this is going to start to be the flywheel, right? You get it going, people love it, and it keeps coming with more and more opportunities. And what we're doing is we're building it into our platform, into our product platform, so that we can offer this up much more easily as we go forward. So that's one example of kind of going all in on automation and some of the impact it can have. In that same meeting, we shared our second one. Some of you may be doing robotic process automation, but we do a lot of back office work for some of our customers. This specific example is one that just makes my brain hurt when I think about it. And I had 8 people that all they did every day was they had these 4 Excel files of order tracking numbers. And what they had to do every day was they'd have to go into the file every 4 hours. They'd have to look up every single order one at a time on UPS, FedEx, DHL, whatever, and see if there were any jeopardies in it getting delivered on time. Because a big part of that services supply chain that I mentioned earlier is making sure the part shows up when the technician is going to show up, and you don't want the tech there without the part, because then you're burning tech time, right? So if there's a jeopardy, you have to intervene and change the tech time to show. Well, guess what? 80% of the searches, everything's going fine. So can you imagine spending your day every day going through this spreadsheet, and for 4 hours you're checking all these numbers, 80% of them are fine. The next, oh, okay, go back to the top and start over. Go back to the top and start over. You're pretty much doing nothing but that. That's the technical way to describe it from my perspective. Well, that's what the agents doing the work also thought. But they were the ones that helped us define the RPA process that needed to be built, which is awesome, right? Because they were part of the solution. We build this process, and now we have 4 bots running, right? We have a dashboard that the bots spit out, right? The bot reporting comes out. So instead of all this Excel reporting, we got a really nice clean dashboard. We can see it. And now we've ramped up the parts tracking, right? So we can be more timely with our tracking and more timely if there's an intervention. The exceptions are the ones that pop out. And now the agents are just working the exceptions. And oh wait, did I say agents? No, it's just one person. All the other ones we didn't need to do because it's 80% of it is right every single time. And so the beauty of this, and the things that, you know, oftentimes agents and supervisors are worried about is this is going to cost jobs. This is going to cost jobs. Guess what? We haven't laid off anybody associated with this. What we've done is these changes have helped us win new business and win business faster, because what we freed up, in this first example, we freed up almost 40 agents from this process, which helped us go win new business that's more complex business that these agents just transition right to. Same thing down on the bottom. When we were freeing up these people, we were able to go transition straight over to another client that we had just won, and these agents won over there. So the great news is people are going into new jobs, these digital services and automation jobs. People who are staying in agent jobs are going into higher level, more complex jobs. And our attrition rates have gone way down, right? So because we don't need to hire as many people at that first level. And even the ones on the first level jobs can see what we're doing. And they can see how this is benefiting them in their jobs. And so now that 9 to 11% on that first level attrition rate on a monthly basis is now down in the 4 to 6% range. It's not as low as the second and third tier, but it's so much better, and the agents are so much happier. And so these are 2 examples. I didn't put up any more about how workforce is changing things. Many of you probably know those things, workforce and QA, but those are part of the process. The online training and development is another part of the process. We're trying to go digital across the entire operation, and that's why, you know, I say, you know, we're all in on automation. And, you know, the idea is if you go all in, we don't know what's coming next. This world is changing quickly. Technology is changing quickly. But if you're all in, you're going to be positioned to take advantage of the next wave of whatever it is when it comes. So I'm, you know, happy to answer any questions on what we've done. But I think that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what we've done, why we've done it, and, you know, some of the benefits that we've seen at OnProcess. So thank you.